Hi and welcome to the Tradebox video on creating summary entries and batch invoices in Sage. So the purpose of the video is to take you through creating a summary in Tradebox and then creating an accounts integration to pass that summary into Sage as a batch invoice. Before we get started, I'm going to take you to the website tradebox.uk.com. If you go to integrations and scroll down to Sage, then go to videos and guides, you'll see there's lots of videos on this, but lots of other collateral are going to be helpful. Things like configuring Sage 50 to use with Tradebox, and there's an article on all the different Sage 50 integration options that are available to you. Okay, before we get started, let's pop over to Sage. So if we go to Sage and we look at the transactions, you'll see that our copy of Sage is entirely empty. There are no transactions in here. What we do have however, is a few generic customer accounts. And it's the Shopify one that we're going to be using in this case. Okay, I'm going to close Sage down. Okay, and one thing that is worth mentioning, there is some configuration that needs to be done in Sage before you can get to this stage. Okay, let's go across to Tradebox. We're on the order list. We can see within the order list, we've got lots and lots of orders. We've got 990 orders here, and they range from the end of January this year to the beginning of January. Okay, so in this scenario, we don't particularly want to create individual invoices in Sage for every single order that we download. We want to summarize them. So the way that we do that is we go to the summary section and we create a summary for a specific set of data. So if I click on new, the options are per sales channel. So you have more than one sales channel, you can only create a summary per sales channel. We have an order date to and from, so I'm going to choose January as our option. Okay, so we've got an order date from the 1st of Jan to the 31st of Jan, and I'm going to exclude any unpaid orders. Click on OK. Okay, so Tradebox now presents me with a list of all of the orders that meet that criteria, all 990 of them, and I can then scroll down through the list of orders. If I'm happy with them, click on Calculate Summary. Okay, so Tradebox has now summarized our orders into as few entries as possible. So if we just go through these, we've got 2 zero-rated entries, and they're both from PayPal, and one's for sales and one's for carriage income. And then we have other ones for standard rated for SagePay, WorldPay, and PayPal, which are all for sales income, and SagePay, WorldPay, and PayPal, which is all for carriage income, and these are all vatable sales. And you can see on the right-hand side, we've got the breakdown here of the net amount, the tax amount, and the gross amount. And so these are the minimum entries that we can create based upon payment method, taxation rate, and sales type to pass these across to Sage in a batch invoice. So if we're happy with that, we'll click on Mark as summarized. Okay, so that's the summarization finished. Click on OK, and we can see we now have a new entry in Tradebox, a total amount of £54,149, and it's been given reference number 2. So it's summary number 2 within Tradebox. And if we pop over to the orders section, we can see in the summary ID column, every order that met that criteria has now been marked as belonging to summary ID number 2. Okay, so that's the summarization finished in Tradebox. Next thing to do is to create an integration with Sage. So we have a channel set up here for our web sales. You can see there's 990 in there. If I double click on the channel, first thing we're going to do is go straight to the accounts tab. Okay, in the accounts tab, we're going to select a company from the drop-down list. In this case, we're going to choose test company. And you'll see there are 2 user logon names, TB user and TB service. They're already pre-populated, and that's a prerequisite of the integration, which is covered in the setup guide. Okay, I'll pop the passwords in for these users. Click on Connect to Sage. Okay, now we're connected to Sage. You can see there's lots of different options that are available to us, but we're going to choose to create sales in Sage as summary entries or batch invoices. And once I choose this option, you'll see that all of those other options disappear. So what I'm left with on the posting section is options to mark our items to different departments. So I'm going to put the sales type to web sales and the carriage to web carriage. And these are taken from departments I've already created within Sage 50. Then I'm going to click on next. It's asking me to allocate to a single default customer. So we're doing batch invoicing. You can only have one customer. I can either select one from the drop-down list from Sage, or I can create one by clicking on the button here. So I'm going to choose our Shopify web sales and then click on next. Then we can choose nominals to put the sales and the carriage against. So again, if I scroll down, we have one for Shopify, and I'm just going to leave it on 4905 for distribution and carriage. And then the final screen in the mapping is to do with the Tradebox tax codes being mapped against the corresponding tax codes within Sage. And we're using the defaults here. If yours are different, you can change them in the screen. And then we're going to click on Finish, click on Save. Okay, so we can see at the end of the sales channel, and we have a little green tick under this chain icon here. That means that we've actually set up a connection to Sage. Okay, so I want to post that information into Sage now, and I do that through the summary screen. I double click into the summary, and I've got a post to accounts button there. If I click on post to accounts, it asks me for the date. So I'll put that as the 31st of January. Click on OK. Okay, that's done. If we click back now, we can see we've now got a green tick under the posted, so I know that this summary has been passed to Sage because it has the green tick there. Okay, so let's open up Sage and have a look at the results there. Okay, if we go to Sage, let's go straight to the customer. And there we can see we've got the amount outstanding sitting on the customer account. And if I look at activity, we can see that that's been split into the different levels to do with sales type, whether it's sales income or carriage income, taxation level, and also payment method. If we just open that slightly, you can see that's all contained within the details section. Okay, and so we're sitting that's outstanding debt sitting on the customer account. If we want to pay it off, you would just pay it off manually. Go into the bank account, and let's start with PayPal. So we'll go to PayPal and we say customer receipt. Choose the account, and here we can see the different options. So in this particular option, I'm just going to go down, just pay off the PayPal ones. Click on save. And then we could go down and pay off the WorldPay ones. And finally, let's pay off the SagePay ones. Okay, and there we go. We now have all of the payments sitting in the relevant bank accounts that they belong to. And if we go back to the customer account, that's now zeroed down. If we look at the activity, we now have the 3 sales receipts that have paid off the batch invoice. Okay, so that is the end of the video. It's as simple as that, batch invoicing. If you've got any questions, please do come to our website. If you come to the site and click on support, there's a whole help center there full of articles that are going to help you through this with a search bar. But feel free to give us a call or raise a ticket. Be more than happy to help you. Thank you.